I was about to speak in a school the other day when one of the other volunteers that I go in with to speak took me aside and he said, "I need to know your secret." And I said, "Okay, what secret is that?" And he said, "You are totally unflustered when we come to these events. You're never upset. You're never overexcited. You're just one of the calmest people I ever met." And in some ways, I was pleased that he said this because that's the persona that I like to project. Somebody that doesn't mind, somebody that can just deal with stuff, no matter what it is. But the truth is, and I had to explain this to him, I am nervous every time have to go and speak somewhere. I'm nervous every time I start to think about who I'm going to speak to, what I'm going to say. And in fact, at times, it's really, really hard to force myself to do that. And what is interesting about that is that this guy had no idea. He had no concept. And he actually thanked me for telling him. He said he didn't understand why I always seem so unflappable and cool, and not cool like, hey, cool, but cool like just unflustered, when he was always panicking. I want to talk about the day-to-day reality of living with mental illness. And the fact is that sometimes you just have to keep moving. Hey, if you like what we're doing, please like, subscribe, share, tell your friends about it. We would love to get the word out about the podcast. We know it's not one that people probably don't want to tune into week after week after week. Some people do, and I'm grateful for that. But it's very much a podcast that I want to be out there, available for people that need it. So, like for instance, this one, somebody's like, "I just don't know how to keep going." So they put it in their search engine. Hopefully this podcast will pop up and they'll be able to find the help that they need. Anyway, like, share, and subscribe if you would. I would appreciate it. Let's dive into Keep Moving. We'll see what happens. Welcome to Mark My Words. Mark My Words is the story of my journey from a place where I was shattered to where I could live again. Sometimes when you have a mental illness, I mean, it's true for life in general, but particularly when you have a mental illness, there are times that you just need to keep going. You've got things in place. You've got things set in motion. You take your pills. You do the right exercise. You spend time in the sun. You listen to music. You got your distractions. There are some times, though, where it feels like you are just moving through quicksand. You are just moving through mud. I'm reminded of a video that I watched about men in World War One in the trenches, and it's these two guys trying to move through knee-high mud. And yes, it's a hopelessly tragic situation, and I am over-exaggerating. But just watching these guys just try to pull their feet out of the mud, and then they're trying to find somewhere that's a little bit harder that they could put their foot down so that they could get some traction. And then, eventually they just have to put their foot down somewhere. And of course it goes to their knee. And then they've got to start that whole process again. And when I was watching this, I was just so reminded of what the day-to-day journey looks like for me and internally. Now, outside, as I mentioned, people tell me that I seem so unaffected. I seem so calm. And that's who I want to be. And sometimes I am that person. But sometimes it's just me in the effort of just keeping on moving. There is nothing profound, I think, about what we're talking about today. There's nothing that you're going to hear that is like, oh, that's brand new. I've never thought of it like that. But sometimes it's good to just be reminded. I need to remind myself today, I need to just keep moving. I want to roll up on a ball, in a ball, and I want to sit in a dark room and I want to do nothing. And I want all these feelings and thoughts to just, I'm just going to wait it out. I'm just going to ignore them and hopefully they will stop. But I can't do that. I got a wife, I got kids, I got responsibilities. Sometimes I just have to remind myself that it's okay to just keep moving, because sometimes stopping is, for me, I see it as a safe place. If I don't go anywhere, if I don't put my head above the 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 hedge, the hunters can't get me. The bad things can't get me. If I just keep my head down, if I just ignore the world and all the things that can happen in the world, if I just ignore them, maybe they'll ignore me and my day will be a little bit easier. I understand that impulse. I live with that impulse. But I've also learned that it's a false economy. It's a false statement, because when you sit and lie in a dark room, it can become comfortable. It can become a place where you don't need to face the world. You can keep excusing the fact that you're not out in the world, you're not out doing the things that you need to do, because for a moment it's comfortable and it's safe and you aren't challenged. But it's like those, there's an analogy, and it's wrong. It's been completely disproven. If you get a frog, put it in boiling hot water, it'll bounce out. But if you put a frog in cold water and then heat it up, the frog will sit there till it's cooked. Doesn't happen. It's not a real thing. But the spirit of it is true. For a person with mental illness, if you sit and just let the darkness win, if you let the depression, the anxiety win, you're sitting in somewhere where you feel is safe and you don't understand that your life is in mortal peril because you aren't doing the things that you need to do to be healthy. And the dark things become the normal, and the darker things become our goal. And it's simply because we just stopped moving. We gave up. We stopped. Whatever you're going through, no matter how hard it is, I just want to encourage you to keep moving. Don't stop. You've made so much progress. And yes, you look at that progress sometimes and say, what is the point of what I've done here? I'm still not anywhere close to being in a situation that I like or want to be part of. But it's that being patient. It's that understanding that you will get to where you're going to go. It's just sometimes you feel like you're moving in slow motion. A ship anchored cannot move. Once you put that anchor down and you stop, you can't purposefully go anywhere. You need to just keep moving. And I encourage you today, and I know that there's somebody that's going to listen to this today and they're going to go, you know what? That may be something I needed to hear. Because every once in a while, we all need to be reminded that we are worth it, that you aren't a waste of space, that you are important. You are needed. But you won't get there if you stop. You need to just keep moving. Again, I want to thank you for listening today. I hate this part. Like, share, and subscribe, please. If you want to. uh, yeah. Have a great week. I'll talk to you again next week. Don't forget, you can tune into the radio show 2XX .com.au or .org.au. Wednesdays, 11 a.m., we do the live show of me and you. But otherwise, I'll be back to you next week on Mark My Words. Bye for now. Thank you for listening to Mark My Words. I'd like to thank my producer, Meredith Brosnan, and also Torian, Kevin, and Lorraine. And I can't forget the band Adelaide, who allows us to use their song as our theme.